Just like the street lights lit this town, like a fire in a blaze, gotta burn it down. Can't be afraid to leave this out. We got this far, don't know how. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we gonna light it up tonight. We gonna light it up tonight. We gonna light it up just like the sunrise. We gonna light it up now. Just like a spark that's breaking out. Can't make a stop, can't turn back now. We know that there's no room for doubt. No, we can't turn back now. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we gonna light it up tonight. We gonna light it up tonight. We gonna light it up just like the sunrise. We gonna light it up now.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome in. Welcome in. It's good to see you. It's super bright in here tonight for some reason. I don't know. Maybe it's because I just turned on that light, but that light is super bright tonight. Welcome in. If you're new here and you're unfamiliar with my channel, my name is Tanya or TitaniumBuilt, and we talk true crime on this channel. So if that's something that interests you, go ahead, subscribe to the channel if you'd like, hit the thumbs up, and we'll get on with the show. She's laying down for now, so I might let her sister back in. But my dogs were going crazy a minute ago. So let me just go grab the other one real quick because, you know, she just going one in. Hold on one second. Make sure they were cool. There's a fly in here, and my boxer Pit thinks she's gonna go after it again. But she thinks it's a bee, like a little bee, and so she's trying to catch it, but she can't catch it because it's a fly. It's just too fast for her, you know. It's just too quick. But she's pretty quick for her old age. She got the other one started. So every time she goes to bite, like try to get the fly, Mia will be over on the other side of the room and she'll make the same noise. She's just mimicking her because she doesn't know what she's doing. So if you hear it in the background, there you go. It's just that fly. I saw him. He's right there. Get him, girl. Okay. If you hear their little claws, that's why, because they're trying to get that fly. Hopefully they get it. I just saw it go by my head because it's big. But hello, Cyber Warrior. Hey, Ashley. Hey, Kathy, how's everybody's day going? Hey, Ladybug. Was it nicer there today? Hey, Dawn. Hey, Just Breathe. I'll tell you, it was beautiful here today. Ohio has just been, it's been nice. Oh, I hope everything's going okay with your mom. Okay, Just Breathe. Hey, baby girl. Me too, Ladybug. It was about 7 years. Oh, you had about 7 years in nursing home, though. Yeah, I didn't have the nursing home part. Hey, Miss Rosebud. Welcome on in. Welcome. Hey, Ashley. That's what I did before the live, too. I switched the laundry over, and I was like, I didn't forget for once. Hey, is she? These dogs again. She is trying hard. It's behind you now. I might have to kick him out. Hey, Captain. Hey, Petunia. Well, welcome in, everybody. Like I said, I hope your day was good. Hey, Pete. Hey, Mia More. Hey, DM. And don't forget to hit that like button. It does help the channel. It goes a long way. Hey, baby girl. Someone in the comment section, I can't remember who it was, but they were like, oh, baby girl's a cosmetologist too. And I'm like, we have two? I'm like, I like that. Hey, Ladybug. I have like two backwards hands when it comes to doing hair. I was trying to watch the lady do it today. And I was like, I don't know how you're getting your hands to do it like that. So see you in 9 weeks. We're going to do 9 weeks next time instead of 8. I was like, I think I could even go 10. She said, thank you, Ladybug. She said, I took very good care of my extensions. That made me feel good. Because, I don't know if I'm doing this stuff right. Hey, Stephanie. Welcome in, everybody. I'd be saying I'm the welcoming crowd. Hey, Jenna. Oh, I'm going to have to get this fly. Do you guys remember last year? I think it was last year. It might have been the year before. But I had this little gnat that lived in my freaking studio. It was last year. It was 2 years ago because I was over there. And it was like, it would go dormant. Like when I was not live, I couldn't find it. The little guy would go to sleep. I think it's like my lights were off. But as soon as I turned my lights on, he'd just come out of nowhere. And he didn't go anywhere else in the house, just in that room. Hey, they exist. I'm like, man. The little critters are liking us here. We don't like them. We don't want them here. Hey, Dion. Hey, Crafty. We don't want them here. We want them to, they can go somewhere else. I did. She did the wash. So the trim, she usually does that whenever the hair gets longer, and it's almost meeting the extension length which I was cool with that. But she did wash my hair and she washed it good. That fly's big. I don't know what this fly's on, like the roids or something. You got your hair cut today? Isn't that the best feeling? Just doing a little something for yourself, I'm due every 8 weeks. They did take my extensions out, though. Hey, Squeaky, were you in jail last night? You weren't here. We were wondering. Did you go to jail? I forget what I was going to say. It was something about, she took out my extensions and I looked at my hair and my hair is not grown. Like, I don't know if there's because I've had extensions, but I feel like there's less hair. Hey, Shauna, you better get that fly before I get done with these names. Oh, look, I'm done. I'm at the bottom. You gonna be quiet? She is like, no. She'll put herself to sleep, right? I mean, she's like 12 years old, 10 years old. I don't know. How old are you? I said, how old are you? Oh, well, we'll actually be muted anyway because I'm going to put the podcast on first. So I kind of like doing it that way. We used to do it where it was like we would go through like articles and all of that stuff and then do the podcast. I kind of like doing the podcast first. I don't know. Take me with you, Squeaky. Where are we moving to? Oh, Amy Chaplin, Church, thanks for becoming a member. Look at your birdie. Oh, that's the only thing. I was going to say that's the only thing I don't have, but I do. We do have a bird. And I think I saw her over on the other side of the apartment today. I was like, what are you doing over here, Cher? Get back home. But Tonight, I want to play this podcast that is going to go over the death penalty. So we've been going over the Idaho Massacre podcast. It is from 2024. So if you hear stuff and you're like, well, we already knew that. That's why. I can see that why. But after the podcast, we will go over the document that the state filed when they intended to go for the death penalty. What inmates are currently on death row in Idaho, because I know you're all just curious to know, and how Bryan might be able to save himself from the firing squad before he goes to trial. So look at that, Virginia, you're close to me. I'm Ohio. Hey, Betsy. No, he said he's leaving the country, I think. Hey, Stacy. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Welcome in. So we'll go over the podcast right now, and I will put up some pictures for us to, for you guys to look at, so it's not boring for you. And my dog sat down. She was like, and the other one scratching herself back here. Oh, you can't see her because this is up, but I'm in the way. But there's one. Oh, look, she wants to get the fly now. Okay, maybe she just wants to be up here. Okay, you want your moment? Maybe she wanted a moment in the spotlight. Oh, she just hit her head on the desk. Look at that. That's Mia. Okay, well, I'm gonna mute myself so that way the dog paws aren't bothering you guys on the hardwood floors because they're gonna be trying to go get this fly. So I will be in the chat with you guys, and I will post, like I said, I'll put up some pictures as we're listening to the podcast. That way you have something to look at. I don't know why it says play for Trump signed in.
Big breaking news out of Idaho involving the death penalty and the man accused of murdering 4 University of Idaho students.
Prosecutors say they will pursue the death penalty for Bryan Kohberger.
This is the Idaho Massacre, a production of KT Studios and iHeartRadio. Episode 9, Life or Death. I'm Courtney Armstrong, a television producer at KT Studios with Stephanie Lydecker, Jeff Shane, and Connor Powell. With less than 3 weeks before the legal deadline to decide whether or not to seek the death penalty, prosecutors announced on June 26 they would recommend the maximum sentence for Bryan Kohberger,
calling him a continuing threat to society.
Under Idaho law, prosecutors have 60 days to formally notify a defendant after they enter their plea if the state plans to pursue the death penalty. In a short, to-the-point 3-page court filing, Leda County Prosecutor Bill Thompson wrote that based on the known information, there were no mitigating circumstances preventing prosecutors from pursuing the death penalty. He also cited a number of, quote, aggravating circumstances in the brutal slayings as reasons his office was seeking the death penalty for the former criminology student.
The Latah County prosecutor says the murder of 4 University of Idaho students was especially heinous, atrocious, or cruel, manifesting exceptional depravity.
Thompson noted that Kohberger acted with reckless indifference to human life and that the November 2022 murders of Kaylee Gonsalves, Madison Mogan, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin were carried out during another crime like burglary. The decision was months in the making, but also left the families of the victims divided. Under a new Idaho law, Bryan Kohberger could be executed by firing squad if he is convicted. In 2023, Idaho became the 5th state to adopt execution by firing squad as an alternative to lethal injection.
It was to be expected, given what he is accused of doing.
The prosecution's decision to seek the death penalty for Kohberger was not a surprise, but it did raise the stakes of the upcoming trial. And the move triggered a series of many legal maneuvers by both the defense and prosecution ahead of a pivotal motions hearing on the next day. In the weeks leading up to Leda County Prosecutor Bill Thompson's decision to pursue the death penalty for Bryan Kohberger, prosecutors turned over a mountain of evidence to the 28-year-old's defense team as part of the legally required discovery period. Among the boxes of evidence were thousands of pages of reports and other written material. 10,200 photographs, 9,200 tips that were delivered to investigators, and 51 terabytes of audio-visual media and digital materials. As the state pushed their case forward against Bryan Kohberger, the 28-year-old's lawyer began to lay out their defense strategy ahead of the key June 27th hearing.
They are not conceding anything here and will fight every piece of evidence.
In recent days, Kohberger added 2 new members to his defense team, attorney Stephen Mercer of Maryland and Bicca Barlow of California. Both are experienced defense lawyers and experts in criminal cases involving DNA evidence, particularly the use of the new DNA field of investigative genetic genealogy. Led by Kohberger's chief counsel Ann Taylor and her deputy Jay Logston, the new team immediately began to attack that prosecution's case. These new court filings offered a preview of a brewing legal battle over DNA evidence between the defense and the prosecution.
In new court documents, Kohberger's attorney accusing the state of hiding its entire case.
Defense attorney Jay Logston tore into the prosecution's case, saying there was no evidence of connection between Bryan Kohberger and the 4 victims. He argued that there is, quote, no explanation for the total lack of DNA evidence from the victims in Kohberger's apartment, office, home, or vehicle. Building upon that argument, the defense also demanded investigators provide information about 3 other male DNA samples that were discovered at the murder scene. Here's Jeff and Stephanie.
According to Kohberger's defense, by December 17th, about 1 month after the murders, lab technicians had isolated 3 other male DNA samples, 2 of which came from inside the house and a third pulled from a black glove that was found outside the home a week after the murders. But get this. Police investigators didn't originally find that glove. It was found by a podcaster and a retired homicide detective who was just sort of poking around. He saw the glove nestled among some leaves and branches on the ground behind a trash can near the home on King Road. He then told police about it, and they photographed the glove before collecting it for lab tests.
How is that possible? Now, again, no one really knows when that glove first appeared or if it had any connection to the murders.
To me, the big question is, what type of glove is it? It was in the 30s the night of the murder, so people very likely would have been wearing winter gloves. But if it's a latex glove, that tells a different story. And while we don't know what type of glove it was, or if it was even connected to the crimes, we do know that investigators found male DNA inside of it.
Now, what the defense wants to know is what type of testing was conducted on that glove, as well as the other 2 samples.
The prosecution ran short tandem repeat or STR DNA on the 3 samples.
But the defense is wondering if there were any other DNA tests that were run. Because look, when the information from the STR DNA test was actually submitted to the FBI database, no male DNA profiles were identified.
So, Steph, to break that down, what we know is 3 men's DNA was connected to these samples, but we don't know who they are and if they have any connection to the crime.
And it doesn't appear investigators tried to do a genetic genealogy DNA test to identify them in the same way that they did for Bryan Kohberger.
In addition to requesting information about the 3 unidentified male DNA samples, the defense also challenged the prosecution's use of investigative genetic genealogy to initially identify Bryan Kohberger from the DNA on the knife sheath. Kohberger's lawyers suggested the prosecution is purposefully withholding details of the genetic genealogy research, saying in a court filing, a massive investigation came to focus on Kohberger and Kohberger alone. The state appears to be trying to hide its original domino, such as he cannot discover why. It is not uncommon for defense lawyers to challenge the use of new and emerging technology like investigative genetic genealogy, and Kohberger's defense team has demanded access to all of the FBI genetic genealogy data used to tie Kohberger to the crime. Again, Stephanie and Jeff.
And now remember, when Idaho investigators first found the DNA on the knife sheath, they ran it through the combined DNA index system database.
However, this person's DNA was not actually in the CODIS database, and investigators were unable to identify the individual, but they didn't give up. The FBI jumped in to help and used a rare, controversial DNA technique called investigative genetic genealogy. Like we talked about, traditionally, it's really only used in cold cases. Most famously, it was used to capture the Golden State Killer Joseph DeAngelo in 2018.
It's actually rarely used in active investigations because some states have laws discouraging it, and many public genealogy companies, for example, like Ancestry.com, they prohibit law enforcement from using their databases for investigations. But in this case, the FBI took the DNA sequence data from that knife sheath sample to a private testing facility in Texas called Othram, who then utilized public genealogy websites to identify Kohberger's family tree.
However, despite the defense's request, the prosecution is saying that Kohberger and his defense team have no right to the FBI data and the paperwork from this process.
This is going to become a DNA case. That's what it's going to be all about. This bushy eyebrow identification is going nowhere. But it's a battle of experts. So usually the government has a lot of money, much more than a public defender's office. So one of the problems for the defense is going to be to get enough money to hire the appropriate experts to deal with this issue of DNA, because that's really what it's going to come down to. And I also believe that there are some serious problems in terms of the way this thing was handled, in terms of sending it out. I mean, I was shocked, truthfully, to see that.
Stephen Greenberg is a legal expert and former federal U.S. attorney. He spoke with Stephanie and Jeff. Kohberger's defense team believes the FBI's handling of the investigative genetic genealogy data is crucial evidence and could be exculpatory.
Exculpatory evidence means exactly what it sounds like. It's exculpatory to the defendant. The Supreme Court, a number of years ago, decided a case called United States versus Brady, a long time ago. So this, besides, lawyers call it Brady material. And what it means is prosecution that has in its possession anything that in any way is helpful of defense, it must be turned over. And if they don't turn it over, it could be the end of the case for them. Even many times, there's been a guilty verdict, and then on appeal, it turned out that there was Brady information or exculpatory information that wasn't turned over, and the guilty verdict was vacated.
Is there a time when that window closes, or is it every moment up until the verdict is read?
In terms of when they have to turn it over?
Yeah.
Never ceases. Even if during the trial, let's say, something came up that all of a sudden landed in the lap of the prosecution, and it was helpful of defense, they'd have to turn it over. It's a constant obligation that the prosecution has.
Using genetic genealogy to identify a suspect is a painstaking process and requires skilled researchers and analysts to put the complicated puzzle together. During the process, it can also identify a huge number of people connected to a potential suspect. Stephanie and Jeff.
How exactly does DNA work? Each person's DNA comes from roughly 50% of their parents and 25% of their grandparents. And with each generation you go back, the genetic similarities are reduced a quarter, meaning you share about 12.5% of your DNA with your first cousins and 3.125% with your second cousins, and actually less than 1% with your third cousins. In most public genealogy databases, it's pretty easy to find third or second cousin matches because the bar is so low. That's why you see headlines where celebrities say they're related to famous dead presidents.
But in this case, to narrow it down to a specific person, genetic genealogists at Othram, that's the testing company we were talking about, and the FBI had to do a lot of digging through birth certificates and other genealogy information to build the tree. And this is the important part for the defense because they want to know the process from start to finish.
Yeah, Steph, what they're saying is that if all this painstaking work was done, there should be a long paper trail of how this research was executed. And you would think Othram or the FBI would have logged it somewhere.
But the prosecution has so far refused to provide the data to Kohberger's defense team, with the prosecution insisting they don't have it. The prosecution also says they won't use this information at Kohberger's trial because they want to protect the names and personal information of hundreds of innocent relatives on Kohberger's family tree and the names of the publicly available genetic genealogy services used. The question is, does the FBI and Othram have the records the defense wants?
Just going to say last night, he said that he wants like his third generation there to be able to be there, like third generation back. Okay, Kohberger. I don't think they're going to show up.
Were any of the records kept? Or has all of it been destroyed? Regardless, this is a potential issue for law enforcement and the prosecution's case because of the Supreme Court mandated obligation to provide all Brady evidence to a defendant, especially a defendant in a death penalty case. Here again, former federal prosecutor Stephen Greenberg.
The only thing that popped out to me so far is, for some reason, when the Bureau went through all the different phases it went through in trying to match the DNA with this defendant, and they failed, and then they tried to build a tree, and they sent it all over. They didn't keep records. There's no way to attack the indictment that I have seen yet, other than this issue we're talking about exculpatory or Brady material, or very simply put, information that's helpful to the defense that the prosecutor has. Why they didn't download all of these things the Bureau did makes no sense. If it's helpful to the defense, it has to be turned over. There will be a pre-trial hearing on this issue of chain of custody and the use of DNA. And that will be determinative, because if that hearing goes the way I think it might, I don't know who the judge is. I don't know what his or her particular leanings are. But if the prosecution gets whacked on this issue, then there'll be either be a plea to a much lesser charge, be a dismissal. But that issue will be decided long before trial.
Let's stop here for a break. We'll be back in a moment. The prosecution is likely to counter the defense's demand for the Othram and FBI's research at the June 27th hearing by insisting the only relevant DNA information for a trial is the buccal swab taken from Kohberger's mouth when he was arrested at his parents' home, and the paternal DNA sample taken from the Kohberger's trash. Both of these DNA tests show an indisputable statistical match between Bryan Kohberger and the DNA on the knife sheath.
The likelihood that this is Bryan Kohberger's DNA, and it is 5.37 octillion times more likely than not that this is a match.
Jeff and Stephanie.
We know the DNA profile found on the knife sheath is at least 5.37 octillion times more likely to be Bryan Kohberger's than someone else's.
And that's a very big number, correct?
It's kind of impossibly big to wrap your head around. We're going to do our best to kind of explain it in terms that we felt was helpful. 5.37 octillion is 5.37 followed by 27 zeros. And to put this number into more perspective, there are currently about 8 billion people living on planet Earth right now, or 8 followed by 9 zeros. It's estimated that about 109 billion people have ever lived on planet Earth, and that's 109, again, followed by 9 zeros. A reminder, 5.37 octillions is 5.37 followed by 27 zeros.
So that's a tremendous number, and it seems impossible that it wouldn't be Kohberger. Even the defense doesn't. Okay, can you imagine that? They hand you that paper and there's 27 zeros? I don't even know. I would get misplaced counting the zeros. I would need a pen. I would need a guide. Can I get a guide here so I can count all these zeros? Like, I wonder what everyone thought, like, in his family when that happened. And we're waiting on one down, one to go. I tried to put that in the chat and it blocked my chat. My comments keep getting blocked in my own chat. I don't know if it's Nightbot or StreamYard.
And seem to be arguing that the DNA found on the sheath was Kohberger's. At least they're not doing that yet. But what they are challenging is how investigators utilize DNA to conclude that it was Kohberger's DNA on the knife sheath.
So in this case, the only fact so far that we know of that the prosecution has to link this particular defendant to this awful crime is DNA evidence. That's it. And from what I've seen so far, that's not that solid. So, they'll show pictures of the gruesome slaying of these poor college kids. Defense will try to keep it out because they'll say it's too damaging, and the judge will say, no, it's okay because it's relevant. That will all happen. But when push comes to shove, so far, we're talking about a case that hinges on DNA, and we've all seen what preceded the taking of the final swab and the match. And I just think it's too early.
You mentioned like the DNA is the big thing because we don't have any motive. I mean, there's no connection that we know of. The defense is arguing there is no connection. That's the whole point. So does that matter?
The prosecution does not have to prove any motive at all. If they have a motive, it will be helpful. The lack of a motive will be helpful to the defense because they will argue that there was no reason for this particular individual. He didn't know them. There was no motive. There was no fight. There was no money issue. There was no girlfriend, no boyfriend, whatever it is. There's a doctrine called mens rea in the law. And mens rea is very important here because the prosecution has to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that not only did this guy take it and slash them and stab them and all this stuff, but he had an intent to do it. He had a specific intent, or what they say in Latin is mens rea, and then he's guilty of murder one. But they have to prove intent. They do not have to prove motive. And then as I said, the defense will argue, well, there was no reason for him to do it, then the motive goes on that side.
One potential defense that Kohberger's attorneys have yet to try to raise is a not guilty by reason of insanity defense. In many states, a defendant can claim insanity when charged with felony crimes if they show a lack of mental capacity. But Kohberger's team can't make this argument. Idaho is one of only 4 states, along with Kansas, Montana, and Utah, that does not permit insanity as a defense. The Idaho state legislature removed it from the state's criminal code in 1982 and passed a law saying that mental condition shall not be a defense to any charge of criminal conduct. Stephen Greenberg says even if Idaho did provide a legal path to raise insanity as a defense, it likely wouldn't work for Bryan Kohberger.
This guy was getting a PhD in criminology. He went back to school after all this happened, right? He went to class. So in order to succeed with an insanity defense, you basically have to show that the guy couldn't have had the mens rea I mentioned earlier, or the intent, because he was incapable of discerning right from wrong, okay? In some jurisdictions, they call it an irresistible impulse. But the long and short of it is, in layman's terms, is if charged individual was so incapable of discerning right from wrong and didn't realize in any way what he was doing because of that particular status of his mental capability, then you don't have murder one because you don't have intent, okay? So all this kind of, but I don't, unless there's something I've missed, I don't see this based on the behavior of this particular defendant as an insanity defense.
Though mental illness may be used in Idaho as a factor in sentencing, even if the jury finds Kohberger guilty and sentenced him to death, his lawyers can challenge a death penalty sentence by presenting mitigating evidence as to why Kohberger should be spared execution. Meaning, if Kohberger is convicted of murdering Kaylee Gonsalves, Madison Mogen, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin, then he could be spared the death penalty if he is proven to have a mental illness. Kohberger's own words as a teenager about suicide, depression, and his rare eye condition, visual snow, may come into play in the future.
He never mentioned that.
However, Leda County Prosecutor Bill Thompson said in the court filing announcing his decision to seek the death penalty that the state had not seen any evidence of mitigating factors such as mental illness in Kohberger or his family. Still, Kohberger's lawyers could produce evidence of past mental health issues during the penalty phase if Kohberger is convicted of the brutal slayings.
If you're not going to pursue the death penalty on a quadruple murder, what type of case are you going to pursue the death penalty on?
Before Leda County Prosecutor Bill Thompson announced his decision to pursue the death penalty for Bryan Kohberger, he met with the families of the 4 victims. While not every member of the victim's immediate family have spoken publicly, there is a divide over Thompson's decision to pursue the death penalty. Xana Kernodle's mother, Kara, has said she doesn't support the capital punishment for Bryan Kohberger.
I'm not interested in a death penalty. That's not who I am. I don't believe in that. But I do think that he should spend the rest of his days in prison.
In contrast, Xana Kernodle's father, Jeff, said he supports the death penalty for Kohberger.
So you can never replace the loved ones that are lost, but having some sort of justice is what the Gonsalves family wants.
while Madison Mogen and Kaylee Gonsalvez's parents also support the decision to pursue the death penalty for Bryan Kohberger. Steve Gonsalves has been particularly vocal about his support for the death penalty, saying it is one of the reasons he moved to the state of Idaho.
If you come after my child, I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that we come after you.
Ethan Chapin's parents have not weighed in on the decision, even when asked. Stacy Chapin, Ethan's mother, has said she will not attend the trial, and her focus is on her family and keeping Ethan's memory alive.
It doesn't change the outcome. Even looking ahead at the trial coming up in October now, it does not change the outcome of our family, and it's energy that we need to put into healing our kids and getting back to a new family dynamic and working on that. And so we let the prosecutors do their job, and we do our job in our family.
Let's stop here for another break. The split over whether or not to pursue the death penalty is not the only issue dividing the parents of Kaylee, Madison, Xana, and Ethan.
Meanwhile, work crews started preparing the house where the murders happened for demolition.
In February, after Kohberger was arrested, the University of Idaho announced it would demolish the blood-soaked house at 1122 King Road. University President Scott Green called it a healing step in the wake of a crime that shook the community. The owner of the home donated it to the school, and plans were made to turn the lot into a park with a separate memorial to be built on the University of Idaho campus. But now, with the trial of Bryan Kohberger set to begin on October 2nd, some of the families of the 4 murdered students are pressing the University of Idaho to halt its plans to demolish the 3-story structure. Here is the Gonsalves family attorney Shannon Gray talking to the Law and Crime Network.
A big piece of evidence that potentially a jury might want to see it. I mean, there's sights and sounds and viewpoints and angles. It's an odd-shaped house where witnesses were standing, where potentially the defendant was standing.
The off-campus 2,175 square foot home has sat empty ever since the brutal murders on November 13th, 2022. Today, it is protected by a high metal fence, and its lawn is covered in weeds and tall grass. Forensic investigators finished combing through the house long ago. Both the defense and the prosecution have said they are finished with the house, which has been flooded by a surge of true crime tourists who regularly come to visit. The university and the neighbors want the house torn down before students return to school in August of 2023. But the family of Kaylee Gonsalves is urging the university to wait and say that the school is ignoring their request.
And we've just stressed, just hold on, wait till the trial is over and then do whatever you want with the property. But they will not listen. And it's frustrating. But if they think that they're doing it on behalf of the community or the victims' families, it's not true.
Stephanie and Jeff.
And in the same week that there were these legal fights over DNA evidence and the announcement from the prosecution that they were in fact going to pursue the death penalty, workmen began preparing the 3-story house for demolition. They removed the remaining furniture and any other personal items that were left behind after the murders. And that's the end of it. It seems so strange that they wouldn't wait until after the trial.
Yeah, despite the prosecution and the defense saying they were done with the home, Kaylee's family was worried that the jury may want to see it at some point. They said publicly they wanted it left intact so the jurors could walk around the property to better understand the events of the morning of November 13th. The family wants the house demolished eventually, but they're afraid that if it happens before the trial, it may hurt the prosecution of Bryan Kohberger.
However, despite their concerns, the community apparently wants it gone sooner than later. According to Shannon Gray, Kaylee's family lawyer, the university basically said that we hear you, we get your concerns, but we are in fact going to move forward with the demolition because it's good for the community.
I understand the feeling of wanting the site of such a tragedy gone as soon as possible, but if even just one juror is swayed in either direction by seeing this house, then they need to leave it up. Justice is the number one goal here, and it seems short-sighted to potentially get rid of this huge part of the case forever.
We've seen this happen before. In fact, in our other podcast, the Piketon Massacre, we saw that the homes where those murders happened were also infamously moved into a warehouse, which caused lots of controversy. Can you imagine if they had just torn them down? It seems like they would be destroying an active crime scene. And also in that case, the jurors all went to the location of the crimes. That was a big part of the pregame to the trial.
Yeah, Steph, that's a good point, because as Kohberger's movements on the night in question are very relevant, it stands to reason that the same sort of thing might happen for this case.
The next hearing in the case of Idaho versus Bryan Kohberger is set for Tuesday, June 27th. Many of these issues could be settled after this important hearing, but the trial could also be pushed back to provide more time to decide these issues, and because Bryan Kohberger's life is now at stake. More on that next time. For more information on the case and relevant photos, follow us on Instagram at KT_studios. The Idaho Massacre is produced by Stephanie Lydecker, Jeff Shane, Connor Powell, Chris Spargo,
Okay.
Gabriel Castillo.
I was trying to let the dog back in. The dog wanted out, then the dog wanted back in. You know, that's just my channel. You know, I mean, I think that everyone knows that at this point. Let me get myself big again. You get what you get, you know? They did tire themselves out though, so they're not running around anymore trying to catch that fly. I don't know where it went. Oh, you son of a... Are you kidding me right now? I just heard it. I just saw it. Where you been? Okay, I've had this whole 30 minutes. I could have been chasing this thing around. It hid from me. I swear that happens every time. This thing's so big it needs its own zip code. I don't know where this fly came from, but where's the spider that's going to eat it? Because I need one. Maybe it'll crash out on one of the lights. And thank you for joining Trips. That means a lot. And thank you, Mary Beth, if you're still in here. She's like a thief in the night. She comes in and then she leaves real fast. But thank you for dropping 20 memberships on us there. That's a lot. That fly just yeah, it did. Buzz, bitched me, yeah. It did. It was like near my head. Oh my gosh, you know when they land on you, like every time they land on you, they like poop on you or something? Fun fact. Or they throw up or something. I don't know. Someone told me that. I think it was my brother once. And I was like, why would you do that? Oh, thanks, Claude. I'm not very charismatic right now. I'm like, shoo fly, get out of here. I can hear it. I can hear it. Okay. So that was the podcast. The next podcast after that one is, let me see. Building a defense. So I'll have a whole presentation for that too. I have so many tabs. I finally did pin everything and restarted my computer today. So we are like working like a champ. I can see that fly. I know I have one. I got one at Target. I have a placeholder somewhere. I was using my book and I went to hit it and my mirror flung off and I missed it. And I was just like, why are you trying? Why do you try? I mean, you know, I can usually get them even though I just have the one eye. I can usually still get the dang flies, but I can't. And then the dogs are trying to get it, which is even funnier because the one dog thinks it's a bee. So she, thinks it's a little slower and she's not understanding why she's not getting it. And then I'm trying not to like make a big deal about it because I don't want them to wake up. Then the other dog is like just following her, trying to mimic her. It's cute. So I wanted to show you that podcast. And then basically prosecutors stated their intention to seek the death penalty against Bryan Kohberger on June 26, 2023. It's been that long. Yeah. We're coming up on 2 years since then. In the court notice, the state cited several aggravating factors in the stabbing deaths, which are required under Idaho law to pursue the death penalty. These factors included the presence of multiple victims, the heinous nature of the killings, and the potential threat that Kohberger posed to society. The judge entered a not guilty plea on his behalf in May of 2023 because he chose to sit silent. We're not going to say stand silent because he didn't stand. He sat. he stood, or he didn't. You're supposed to stand silent. That's what they say, but he sat silent. So maybe I should get some shirts that say that. Didn't even stand silent. I sat silent. I don't know. I could think of something there, but I'll have that merch out for you. This is the a couple of things I wanted to go over with you guys. This was the document that they filed in court that they were talking about on the podcast that said, hey, we are going for the death penalty. And this was in May, I believe. So it says State of Idaho versus Bryan Kohberger, notice pursuant to Idaho Code 18-4004A. And I remember reading this back in the day. Comes now the state of Idaho by and through the Latah County prosecuting attorney, and hereby gives notice to the court, the defendant and his counsel, pursuant to Idaho Code 18-4004A, that as of this point in time and based on the information known to the state to date, the following statutory aggravating circumstances pursuant to Idaho Code 19-25159 appear to exist in the case as to the crimes of murder in the first degree as charged in counts 2, 3, 4, and 5 of the indictment herein. So Idaho Code gives the code. At the time the murder was committed, the defendant also committed another murder, and or the murder was especially heinous, atrocious, or cruel, manifesting exceptional depravity, and or Idaho Code, and it gives the code, by the murder or circumstances surround. What are these dogs doing? Hold on a second. I'm gonna kick them out for a minute. Hold on. They thought I was going out there with them. I was like walking out and they running out, and I was like, go to your daddy, see ya. She was like, when she did her ears, her like color was, I'm like, you guys are probably getting sick of hearing them dogs by now. They'll probably be at the door. So the next one, number 3, was by the murder or circumstances surrounding its commission, the defendant exhibited utter disregard for human life. And or number 4, the murder was committed in the perpetration of or attempt to perpetrate arson, rape, robbery, burglary, kidnapping, or mayhem, and the defendant killed, intended a killing, or acted with reckless indifference. Sorry, I'm going to put this up a little bit. To human life, and or number 5, the defendant by his conduct, whether such conduct was before, during, or after the commission of the murder at hand, has exhibited a propensity to commit murder, which will probably constitute a continuing threat to society. The state gives this notice based on the fact that it has not identified or been provided with any mitigating circumstances sufficient to prohibit the tiers of fact from considering all penalties authorized by the Idaho legislature, including the possibility of a capital sentence. Consequently, considering all evidence currently known to the state is compelled to file this notice of intent to seek the death penalty. The state will continue to review additional information as it is received and reverses its statutory right to amend or withdraw this notice. So, for all the people that are like, yeah, Bryan's waiting until trial to give his evidence, and then that's when he's going to be exonerated. No, he would have done it right here. Right then. He would have done it way before this, but if he had something, he would put it in right then, in my opinion. Because he would have been like, no DP for me. I couldn't imagine. I mean, I couldn't imagine unaliving 4 people, but I couldn't imagine sitting in, jail and them come and serving me these papers. Actually, he wouldn't have even he would have got served the papers, yeah. Unless he had to look them up on the computer the next day like everyone else did. But yeah, so this was on June 26th, 2023. The year, or we thought we were going to be going to trial that year, or we thought we were going to have a preliminary hearing, I think in June. And we didn't. We didn't at all. And we thought we were going to have a trial in October, and we didn't. And now we think we're having a trial in August, and we are. I have really good faith in this. I mean, I seriously, I really don't think that the judge would have, been sending out subpoenas for Nevada, for Pennsylvania to get these witnesses, to come. I think that they would have just kind of like wait on that if they knew that they were going to be, continuing the trial like at a later date, because she said she wants an indefinite continuance. Anne's got some balls. I mean, she's got some. She wants she's like, she doesn't even want like a month or two. She wants an indefinite. So I was looking for some articles around this time, and I found one here. And then we're going to look at the death row inmates, because I thought it was pretty entertaining, actually. I mean, we're into true crime. They are scary looking. Some of them people are. But, most of them, actually, a lot of them were younger, it seemed like. Maybe not all, maybe just a couple. But even a couple, it's still crazy. So it says here, prosecutors say they will seek the death penalty against a man accused of killing four university students in Moscow, Idaho. I think on a live, we should write down all the stuff that Anne's tried to say or do to get this continuance. That would be entertaining, like an interactive live, because she's done a lot. So Bryan Kohberger, 28, this was at the time, faces 4 counts of first-degree murder in the stabbing deaths of the students in an off-campus house last November. He was arrested following a 6-week manhunt. A judge entered a not guilty plea on his behalf last May after he chose to stand silent in court. Let me put something up really quick, because someone asked me about something. Okay. A judge entered a not guilty plea on his behalf last May after he chose to sit silent, because he didn't stand, in court. In a new court filing on Monday, prosecutors wrote that considering all evidence currently known to the state is compelled to file this notice of intent to seek the death penalty. The top prosecutor, Bill Thompson, wrote in the court filing that this case met the standard for the death penalty, as Mr. Kohberger's acts were especially heinous, atrocious, or cruel, and exhibited utter disregard for human life. Yeah, couldn't say it better there, Bill Thompson. Whoever did this, they really had no regard for human life. Kaylee Gonzalez and Madison Mogen, age 21, and Xana Coronado and Ethan Chapin, both 20, were killed in an off-campus apartment on 13th of November. The gruesome murder of the 4 college students days before Thanksgiving in 2022 shocked the nation. Gonzalez's family said they are grateful that the prosecutors are pursuing the death penalty in the case. We continue to pray for all the victims' families and appreciate all the support we have received, the family said in a statement on Monday. Investigators have said the killer left DNA on a leather knife sheath found at the crime scene. In January, unsealed court documents revealed police collected a knife, Glock pistol, black gloves, and a black hat and a black face mask during a search of Mr. Kohberger's home. I think this was like right after he was arrested. This is when everyone was like putting him as Mr. Kohberger. Like, I haven't seen that as much recently. Like, they'll put his full name. And I only am saying that because I was skipping the Mr. part and I was just saying Kohbergers or whatever. Like, and someone got in my comment section and they were so mad at me. They were so mad at me about that. And I was just like, oh my God. Hold on. So, the aggravated, I think it's because there was two, like it was in a crime was committed in the commission of another crime. And that's what made it aggravated. Let me see. Yeah, a crime that has been made more serious by the presence of a specific circumstance or actions. It says aggravated indicates that the crime was made worse or more harmful than a standard version of the same crime. Increased severity. Aggravating factors can make it. Harsher penalties. Okay. Well, let's see. It says aggravated crimes are considered more serious than standard versions of the same offense. It says these are specific circumstances that or actions that make a crime more dangerous or harmful. Wow. Okay. I can see that fly every once in a while. It's really, really tested me tonight. Where were we at? I wonder, like, I've always wondered if he took that gun with him, like on his trip, like to Idaho, or I mean Washington, like when he moved out there, or if that was something that he kept at like his parents' house. You know what I mean? Just wondering. I mean, that could control some people. So it says documents show police seized and later dismantled a white 2015 Hyundai Elantra that Mr. Kohberger had occasionally driven. Mr. Kohberger's attorney criticized the prosecution's reliance on investigative genetic genealogy in its own recent court filings, calling it a bizarrely complex DNA tree experiment. It worked for the Golden State Killer. I mean, you know, he's okay to be behind bars, and you know, but don't use the same stuff on Kohberger. Don't use that same science. Which I hope that they do put some laws into place about using that and like get it figured out. You know, I just don't know. So it says investigative genetic genealogy using DNA from crime scenes and seeking to identify suspects through their genetic DNA profiles or matches has been used with growing frequency in recent years to solve crime cases. Prosecutors have said the FBI went to public DNA sites with results from the knife sheath, which allowed them to hone in their investigation on Mr. Kohberger. At the time of his arrest, Mr. Kohberger was studying to earn a PhD in criminology from Washington State University, 8 miles from Moscow over the Idaho-Washington border. His trial was set for October 2nd. It says the BBC has reached out to Mr. Kohberger's lawyer for a comment. Well, good luck, BBC. We can't even get a comment over here. We were trying. Hey, Tom. Hi, bye. Love you guys. I think someone else is folding laundry too, Ashley. I think it was Stephanie. Was it laundry night? I'm doing laundry too. I feel like I do laundry every night, though. They say if you do one load a night, you'll always be on top of it. That's a lie. That's one of my favorite things to do, Ishi, is clean out the vacuum. Like the brush. Isn't that weird? I know that's like OCD thing for me. I mean, I'm gloved up and everything when I do it, but I do like to do it. I like to clean it. Okay. So, I was going to show you also at the end of the live. I'm going to get that fly. It's like bothering me so bad tonight. So I wanted to show you guys. I don't know if you guys saw when Bryan Kohberger didn't stand silent. He sat silent or whatever. So we'll watch that too. Because I found the video for that. And I thought that'd be something good to watch. But before we do that, let's head over here to Idaho Department of Corrections. Oh, we might get familiar with this site. You never know. You know, the in-person visitation, maybe, you never know. I might have to go visit old Kohberger. May have to get an interview. Just kidding. I wonder how many people have actually like wrote him. Like, not wanting an interview, just wrote him in general, you know, just wanting to see if he would write them back, or like, I'm just curious, you know. I don't know. I'm just curious. Oh, I didn't see this part. Let me see if this is like what this is. Oh, okay. All right, let me leave that open because that was kind of interesting. Okay. So, well, actually, we'll go over this first. What I just pulled up. It just says Title 19, Criminal Procedure, Chapter 27, Execution. And they just did something with the Title 19, Chapter 11 code the other day. So it says methods of execution. 1, the punishment of death shall be inflicted by the following methods: continuous intravenous administration of a lethal quantity of a substance or substances approved by a director of the Idaho Department of Correction. Approved by the director. Okay. I have a question already. Would the director have a degree? Like, I mean, be a doctor? I mean, why do they? I mean, no. Skeet. Put the brakes on. Are you a nurse? You're just the director of the Idaho Department of Corrections. Like, I mean, I'm assuming that you can get that position if you just, maybe work your way up through the ranks, like, right? I don't know if I don't like this idea at all. I don't like that idea. That's weird, right? Like, just, I mean, approved by the director of Idaho Department. I don't know. I feel like that medication should be like approved by like a doctor. I got to get all my medications to through a doctor. Where's this director at? I mean, can I get your badge for a minute? Like, that's weird. I don't know. That's weird to me. It says until death is pronounced by a coroner or a deputy coroner. Or you can do firing squad. I mean, firing squad's probably looking a lot better. Oh man. Yeah, I know. They're having a lot of trouble getting the medicine for that. I heard that they were going to start like doing it to where it's like a mask. It goes over your mouth and they just breathe in a couple times and it's like they go to sleep. And then they just fall into a forever sleep. Then you got in the old pine box. But nowadays, you might be able to get yourself a nice casket put in there. I mean, they might do that for you. They might say, sure, yeah, let mom just bring you one. I mean, I don't know how that works. They used to just put you in a crappy box. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 inmates currently housed at the death penalty, in the death penalty wing, I guess you would call it. It says 3 executions have occurred since Idaho enacted a new death penalty statute in 1977. 3. They ain't killing nobody over there. I mean, really? It says the 8 male residents are incarcerated at Idaho Maximum Security Institution south of Boise. And the 1 female resident, she's all lonesome by herself, is incarcerated at Pocatello Women's Correctional Center. I want to see what she looks like. I think she probably looks scary. Just trying to see if there was a place where we could find her, but maybe right here. Does it show her? Now that shows the same people. Well, where's the woman at? Wait, maybe this is... No, I looked at all these. These were all men, I'm pretty sure. Okay, so we'll go from top to bottom. We have Abdullah Azad. Received November 2004. Oh my God, that was the year I graduated. Wow, you've been in there for a minute. I wonder how recent their pictures are. Like, you know what I mean? If they like update them for like families already, like the family or anything, you know what I mean? Like, but convicted of first-degree murder for the arson death of his wife in Ada County. Arson death. He set her on fire. Or she caught on fire. No matter what, that's how it, yeah. Thomas Creech, this gentleman right here, looks scary as hell. To me, he does look. He looks like he hasn't seen the sunshine in 3 damn days. Like actually, like 30 years. Beating death of an inmate in Ada County. So he was in there for something different, and then looks like beat the crap out of somebody. I mean, beat him to death, and then got on death row. Ain't that pretty? Chad Daybell, we all know this guy. He's probably making himself right at home. Convicted of 3 counts of first-degree murder for the killing of his first wife. I don't know why they say first wife. They should just say wife. I mean, and 2 children of his second wife. I guess it makes sense to do it that way. He's smiling a little bit. He's a piece of trash. I could just see him in there trying to preach the good word, you know? Trying to communicate with Lori. I doubt it. He's probably should just use that. So this guy looks young. Let's see here. Timothy Dunlap received, April 1992. That's just because it's an old picture. What does that date say on there? 9/3/10, 2010. So they updated it. Okay. First degree murder of killing a woman during a bank robbery in Caribou County. So he was already doing a bank robbery, and then he killed someone in the commission of doing that. James Hairston. Hairston. November 1996, he was received. I mean, these people have been in here forever. Convicted of first-degree murder for 2 shooting deaths in Bangkok County. That'll get you. Eric Hall. I mean, he looks pretty freaking scary, too. Convicted of 2 counts of first-degree murder for raping and killing 2 women in Ada County in 2000 and in 2003. So he didn't get busted for the 2000. Did the same thing again in 2003. Gerard Pizzut. Yeah, I don't know how to say his name. He'd been in there for a minute. Look at his glasses. Received May 1986. Dang, son. I was born in 85. He has been in there since I've been alive. Wow. He has missed out. That's what I always think. I just think about like the technology and stuff, weird stuff like that. Like you missed out, buddy. Why'd you kill someone? You could have been out here with us, but you ain't because you killed someone. Convicted of first-degree murder for beating to death 2 people, in Idaho County. Wow. Okay. Jonathan Daniel Renfro. Oh, he looks like he belongs in jail, kind of. Sorry, but he looked like he belongs in jail. They received him November 2017. So he's one of the newer ones. I think he's the newest. We'll have to look just here in a minute. We'll look. Yeah, we'll see who the newbie is. Convicted of first-degree murder for shooting death of a police officer in Kootenai County. That'll definitely do it. Oh, there she is. There's the girl, Robin Rowe. She's been there since 1993. Convicted of first-degree murder for the arson deaths of her husband, son, and daughter. What a beaut. Smiling. Look at her. Wow. That is a person that just does not care. She does not care. I mean, I guess maybe you have to smile because you know you're going to the pokey. So Chad actually has to be the newest one. That's where is he? Yeah, June 2024. So he's the newbie. I can see it. And then I think that one guy was the one that was near my birthday. He was the one, this one. 1986. He's the one that's been there the longest, it looks like. So Kohberger, this is going to be who you report to. This guy right here with the glasses, right? Now, if you want to be a total baddie, if you could beat him up first before he beats you up, maybe that'll help you out there. I'm just giving him a couple pointers. But 1986, my goodness. Wow. 2004 is even a long time. 1996, 1992, 1983. Oh, wait, 1983. Uh-oh. I forgot about him. Come bring it back. We got the see-through guy. What do they do in there? What are they feeding these people? I mean, literally. They're living for a long time in prison, especially on death row. Can you imagine, you're locked up 23 hours a day? And sometimes 24, because sometimes them cars ain't coming and getting you out. That's just so crazy to me. Better them than me. I mean, good thing I'm not a criminal. I'm gonna have to get that Britney Spears criminal song for us. I'm gonna have to see if I could buy it on iTunes or something, or in the back office of the studio. Hey, Doodlebug. Yeah. I'm just reading the chat. They do sit for a long time. But this one's some of these people are dang. I mean, I would literally be like, can you get, am I ever going to go? Are we going to talk about this? I mean, that'd be one of those things where I'd be if I had been in there since 1986, I say at this point, just put me in general population. I mean, I don't know. That's just crazy. That's a long time. Oh, do they get? Oh, the Supreme Court has made it so all DP inmates now get 20 hours a week to socialize. Oh, in a special day room. Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah, put them all together. Yeah, they do get tablets. Yeah, I know. That makes me feel weird inside. Because I know a lot of people in this chat that don't even have a damn tablet. You know what I mean? And then we get those, we just got blessed, not just recently, I'm just saying, but we got blessed with the Alec Murdaugh pictures of him, the chest pictures. Yeah, make sure they have their socialization, And then, oh my gosh, I won't tell you guys. I bet you Kohberger and their reverend or whoever they have there, I forget his name. He did an interview once, but he didn't talk about Bryan because he wasn't allowed and he wasn't going to. But wonder if he still sees Bryan once a week. I bet you he does. I mean, I bet you he does because it's a reason for them to get out once a week. And usually, not Bryan because he's in isolation or whatever, he's by himself, which would be torture for me, I think. But he's probably okay with that. He seems like he's doing okay. But they'll let you socialize. So they'll take sometimes they'll take multiple pods. You know what I mean? You might not stay with each other all the time, but you'll be in the same rec room together. Walking in a circle or playing basketball or doing whatever. They have the funding to give you stuff to do. You know what I mean? It just depends what, how much funding they have to to whatever they can put back into their jails. Okay, so this is Bryan Kohberger's arraignment. Well, when he was arraigned in the Idaho courtroom, and this is where he says not a whole lot, but he does say yes, he understands. And he actually talks in this one, so we'll be able to hear that. If you haven't got to hear him talk yet, other than the only video that he has talked in with any depth is when he got pulled over. But I'm hoping that we're going to see more videos like that when we go to court. So that would be nice. Yeah, just sit on the jail issue tablet. I guess you could call people. You don't have you don't have like internet though, right? Like because you can't get on like dating websites and stuff. Like you can't be like, you know what I mean, on match.com or anything. So they have to have them locked down but I'm sure that they could break into them if it's like able to do it. You know what I mean? That's like giving an iPad to a kid and saying, "You don't know my password, you can't break in." And they got your password known in a minute. So no internet? Okay. I was about to say that would be so crazy to me, you know? I know that they wouldn't be able to have like access to like sites, you know, there'd be some sites they wouldn't be able to do. So now, so I wonder if that's cut down on people sneaking in cell phones. Probably not. I'd say not, but you know, you never know. Okay, let's see Bryan walk through the door. Like he always just walked right on in. No one shuffled him in. None of that. You know, most of the time when, you know, there's a suspect that's, you know, going on trial for a crime, especially murder, they normally are like, you know, they have their hands like handcuffed in the front of them and they, you know, shuffle them in and then they, you know, unlock them and let them sit down. Now they won't shuffle them through there like that in front of a jury, but this isn't a jury. But they just kind of let him walk in. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. I guess this is televised or whatever. It's going to be on the internet, so it considers that. I guess they could probably consider that televised because it's on the internet and people can see it. But I still think he probably should have had his hands handcuffed. He could have ran off. You know? I mean, he could have. And you know what someone said in my comment section today? I'll have to read the comment to you because I probably should send it to the prosecutors. I'm kind of worried for this person, actually. They said they hope that Bryan gets found not guilty, or if he's found guilty, that he takes the sheriff's gun or something like that and somehow gets the knife, I guess, out of the, I don't know where the knife would have been. I don't know. But then goes after everybody. And I was like, I'll have to read the comment because it was so like, what? I mean, I think this person probably has like mental problems, like mental health problems for sure. Saying that. I'm like, so I wrote them back and I was like, I think we should send this to the prosecution. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and hit play on this video because it's 15 minutes long. Oh, there's Ann. She got herself a new purse. And there he is. Now he could be wearing that leg thing that they like have that'll shock you if you like, you know, try to get up and run. But it sounds like you can hear the sorry, I don't mean to keep pausing it, but it sounds like you can hear the chains like, so it sounds like he does maybe have restraints on his legs. And look at Jay. Jay is just Jay, I think you were digging Bryan Kohberger, and that's why you got off the case.
All rise. Thank you very much. Please be seated. Good morning, everybody.
Okay.
Good morning, everybody.
I thought Ann didn't stand up for a minute. I was about to be out of my seat with this because you know how I feel about that. Let's see how he acts. Look at his face. I mean, I don't know if this is because we had a better shot. It wasn't like a far shot, you know, in a frontal shot now that we have of Bryan. But you can see he is clenching his jaw. And when they say like the judge says like certain names or certain words, you can see it go into like overdrive. Like he's thinking about something. I don't know what he's thinking, but he's clenching his jaw nonetheless. Like, look at that thing going.
have some people.
No, this is an old video. Can I kick it? This is going to be the video when he was standing, when he sat silent.
Okay, let's get on the record, please. Thank you. Okay, we are now on the record in State of Idaho versus Bryan C. Kohberger, CR 29222803. Mr. Kohberger is in the courtroom along with his attorney, Ms. Taylor. I believe also part of the team is Jay Logston and Elisa Massacre, who is participating by Zoom, I believe. The state is represented by Mr. Thompson, Lake County Prosecutor's Office, or Prosecuting Attorney. Ms. Jennings is of that office too, Lake County Prosecutor's Office. Also, part of that team is Ingrid Beatty and Jeff Nye, both from the Idaho Attorney General's Office. I'm John Judge. If you don't know me, I'm a Lake County District Judge, and I'll be presiding over this case. So, Mr. Kohberger, you've already heard a lot of what I'm going to tell you at your initial appearance, but I'll repeat it to you because it's important, and I want to remind you of these issues. So I'll briefly cover your rights, the charges against you, and the maximum penalties if you are found guilty or if you plead guilty. So I'm going to start with the rights. You have a constitutional right to have an attorney represent you throughout these proceedings. If you cannot afford to hire a lawyer, then one is appointed at public expense. Ms. Taylor and her team have already been appointed, so that's taken care of. You have a right to a speedy and public jury trial where the state would be required to prove every element of each charge against you beyond a reasonable doubt. At that trial, you would have the right to cross-examine the witnesses called against you. That means to see, hear, and question them, to call witnesses to testify for you, and if you choose to testify in your own defense. But you're not required to testify because you also have the right of silence. That right is protected under the Idaho and federal constitutions, so you can remain silent throughout these court proceedings, and that can't be held against you. What you do need to.
I wonder when they decided to do all this, like stand silent. I'm sure they had this in like the plans before this court date, right? Couldn't she have called the judge and been like, we're just going to stand silent. Like, I'm not going to waste your day. I don't know. To me, I would respect that as a judge.
Remember, though,
I'm sure it all has to be on the record, but you know what I mean? I would just be like, oh, man.
Is that anything you do say other than to your lawyers could be used against you in a later court proceeding. You understand that?
Yes, I do.
Okay, thank you. You also
No, Your Honor. Yes, I do. Oh, I'm going to rewind that back.
have a right.
It gets under my
Could
skin.
be used against you in a later court proceeding. You understand that?
Yes, I do.
Okay, thank you.
Maybe he was just trying to be loud, like, you know, so like you could hear him. But I mean, he was being pretty loud.
You also have a right to appeal any final decision of the court. In order to exercise that right, you need to file a notice of appeal within 42 days of that final decision, or that right is waived. Also, if you are not a United States citizen, any finding of guilt in the state could have adverse consequences to your legal status. Do you understand these rights?
Yes.
Any questions about the rights?
No.
All right.
Very coherent right there. Very coherent. You notice that he's able to answer yes and no questions. He's very he understands things. Okay.
So let's go to the indictment. You have a copy of the indictment in front of you?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And you see in the heading your name there. Is that your correctly spelled complete name?
Yes, it is.
Is that the correct birth date underneath your name?
Yes.
Are those the correct last four digits of your social security number?
Yes.
All right, I'm going to read you the charges on the indictment, starting with count 1, burglary. That is a felony under Idaho Code Section 18-1401 and 1403. This alleges that you, on or about November 13, 2022, in Latah County, state of Idaho, did unlawfully enter a residence located at 1122 King Road, Moscow, with the intent to commit the felony crime of murder. Count 2, murder in the first degree. That is a felony under Idaho Code Section 18-4001, 4002, 4003, and 4004. This alleges that you, on or about November 13, 2022, in Latah County, state of Idaho, did willfully, unlawfully, deliberately, with premeditation and with malice aforethought, kill and murder Madison Mogan, a human being, by stabbing Madison Mogan, from which she died. Count 3.
Look at that jaw. Are y'all looking at it? Because the jaw is saying a lot. Or this part, I'm sorry. Like the cheekbone is saying a lot. Like, when he was reading off her name, I don't know. And some certain names he just has that. Like, I don't know what it means, but
From which she died. Count 3. Murder in the first degree.
like you see it, like it pumps out like 1, 2, 3, like 4 times. Oh,
A felony under Idaho Code Section 18-4001, 4002, 4003, and 4004. This alleges that you, on or about November 13, 2022, in Latah County, state of Idaho, did willfully, unlawfully, deliberately, with premeditation and with malice aforethought, kill and murder Kayla Gonsalves, a human being, by stabbing Kayla Gonsalves, from which she died. Count 4.
see, right there, nothing. I didn't see it. Like, I didn't see his jaw move. Like when they were talking about Kaylee, which he did say her name wrong, and he says, he says a lot of the names wrong, and then he says something at the next hearing about it, like how he was like nervous, and he like apologizes to the families and everybody.
Murder in the first degree. That's a felony under Idaho Code Section 18-4001, 4002, 4003, and 4004. Alleging that you, on or about November 13, 2022, in Latah County, state of Idaho, did willfully, unlawfully, deliberately, with premeditation and with malice aforethought, kill and murder Zana Kernodle. Excuse me.
Oopsie, his jaw did it again, or his cheek.
Deliberately, with premeditation and with malice aforethought, kill and murder Zana Kernodle.
See it?
Excuse me. This is hard.
It's even going faster. It's even more. Is it just me, or are y'all seeing this? Because yeah, he be mad. He mad at Xana or something.
Zana Kernodle, a human being, by stabbing.
Look, it hasn't stopped.
Zana Kernodle, from which she died. Count 5. Murder in the first degree. This is a felony under Idaho Code Section 18-4001, 4002, 4003, and 4004. This alleges that you, on or about November 13, 2022, in Latah County, state of Idaho, did willfully, unlawfully, deliberately, with premeditation and with malice aforethought, kill and murder Ethan Chapin, a human being, by stabbing Ethan Chapin, from which he died. This is signed on May 16, 2023.
See, it didn't really look like it moved as much with Ethan. It was more like when they said Maddie and Xana.
By the presiding grand jury. So now I'm going to go to the maximum penalties of each charge, starting with Count 1, burglary, minimum 1 year, up to 10 years in imprisonment, fine of up to $50,000 or both fine and imprisonment, restitution for the victim's economic losses resulting from the crime. For counts 2, 3, 4, and 5, murder in the first degree, maximum penalties, life in prison or the death penalty. Fine of up to $50,000 for both fine and life in prison or the death penalty. Restitution for the victim's economic losses resulting from the crime. Also, additional fine of up to $5,000 to be paid directly to the victim's families. If you are found guilty or plead guilty on each charge, and the maximum sentences are imposed consecutively, that means one right after the other, you could be facing 10 years in prison, followed by 4 consecutive life sentences or death penalty, fines of up to $200,000 and $20,000 to be paid directly to the families.
I didn't even think about
Any
that.
restitution resulting from the crimes. Okay. Mr. Kohberger, do you understand the charge in count 1? Yes. Do you understand the maximum penalty? Yes. Do you understand the charge in count 2, murder in the first degree? Yes. Do you understand the maximum penalty? Yes. Do you understand the charge in count 3, murder in the first degree? Yes. Do you understand the maximum penalty?
Whoa.
Do you understand the charge in
Baby girl, you thinking tonight. You got your thinking cap on and you got your extra thinking cap on. What if they did? Or even like, what if they didn't and they didn't even know? Like, not like, what if they served, like, what if he saw a pan in the back, like he saw the kitchen somehow and he saw them cooking meat in a pan and then they saw them, like, he saw them a second later, like, put his food in that same pan. Like, you know, there are, yeah, where is Dale? Dale to the rescue? I bet Dale is there licking her. Okay, thanks, DM. You talked to her tonight, though? She's okay? She's got Dale? Do your job, Dale. So, yeah. He was very weird about his food. Which, damn, I hate to give him this. Like, I'm a weirdo, right? When it comes to my food. If I was still a vegetarian, I might get weirded out about that. I don't think the pans would bother me as much as seeing like just like raw meat. You know what I mean? Like, that was like my thing when I was a vegetarian for those 6 months. I was a vegetarian 6 months, I think. And then I was like, give me the meat. But yeah. Well, baby girl, you're thinking and I mean, I think that there has to be a connection somehow, somewhere. I don't think all the way over in PA, he found these girls on Instagram and then decided to go to Washington State. Like, I don't think that's how this played out. Like, you know what I mean? I think that when he was there is when he started planning it. I think he just I think he maybe had a thought that he might do something like this when he went out there to school. Like, he might hurt somebody, or maybe he was just like a peeping Tom at the time. And so maybe that's why he got the knife, just to like have it. But, you know, then he decided he was going to do a little more than peeping. Oh, I would never marry Beth. Now I know you're dealing with stuff.
count 4, murder in the first degree? Yes. Do you understand the maximum penalty? Yes. Do you understand the charge in count 5, murder in the first degree? Do you understand the maximum penalty? Yes. Okay, Ms. Taylor, is Mr. Kohberger prepared to plead to these charges?
Your Honor, we will be standing aside.
Because Mr. Kohberger.
No, you will not. Anne, Honey, he's sitting. The dude is sitting. He's sat silent. Kohberger, why couldn't you just get up? You know what I mean? Like, that's just like, that's just having respect for the court. I'm a big fan of respect for the court, right? If you would have stood up and you would have said, yes, Your Honor, no, Your Honor, you might have been walking out of there. Just kidding. He wouldn't have been. But I did. It goes a long way to be, have a little respect. But I guess we're seeing it right now. I don't know.
He is standing silent. I'm going to enter not guilty pleas on each charge. Now it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now at this juncture, the state has 60 days to give notice of intention to seek the death penalty. And Mr.
Like, I don't get this, because it's not like he stood silent because he needs more time to prepare, right? This is just like not a plea. He just doesn't want to enter a plea. Like, I would be like, I'm entering the plea of guilty in for you then. But that's why the law is not that way. But I'm saying, I mean, if you need more time, you need more time. But just say that, right? Don't say I'm, standing silent. This is the starting of Ann Taylor getting under my skin.
Kohberger has a constitutional and statutory right to a speedy trial.
Oh, and if someone can tell me which hearing it was that he wore the white button down, what that hearing was for, that would be really great. I thought that was the one I didn't watch, and it was a big one. It was something but I remember, I think that might have been when they did a continuance for the trial date. It might have been that. I couldn't watch it. I was so mad. I was so mad that when I heard about what it was already going to be, I refused to watch it. It was the only court hearing I haven't seen.
So let's start with you, Ms. Taylor, and then Mr. Thompson to discuss scheduling.
Your Honor, we'd ask the court to set this trial at the very outside of the speedy trial, right? We're not prepared to do anything but ask the court to do that today.
Okay. Count it out, and that will be November.
I have not counted it out, Your Honor, but I believe that would be about November 22nd and some maybe November 20th. So I'd ask the court to set it for an October trial date.
How long do you think it'll take to try the case?
No.
My best guess is it would take at least 4 weeks, maybe 6.
So you'd like me to set this for a 6-week trial?
At this point, I would not.
What you looking at, Kohberger? Oh. That's a little bit of an OCD move. I mean, yeah, that is a little. Give me my papers. Let me get them all nice.
This is more critical and more important. So, Mr. Thompson, what's your...
Those trial dates are workable for the state judge.
Thank you.
You thought you were going to trial, Bill Thompson. She could be looking at Discovery or something right now. She's just sitting there. Might as well.
About October 2nd, starting. Okay, for 6 weeks.
Yes, sir.
anything else we need to address today, Taylor?
Not with regard to the trial setting.
Anything else?
No.
Okay, thank you. Thompson?
Nothing to say at this time now.
He does play the guitar in a band. So he is kind of a rock star, you know, that Bill Thompson.
All right. So with that, by the way, I do want to let everybody know, if they don't already know this, that once the grand jury issued the indictment, preliminary hearing scheduled to start on June 26th was no longer needed and is vacated. So some people are confused about that. So I thank counsel and the media and the public for your attention and respect. So we are adjourned. Thank you.
This is when Creme 2 News had the they had the cameras in the courtroom. So that's why we're having a different point of view of, you know, Kohberger, and we're not looking just at the judge or whatever. But this was his second or third court hearing, because he only wore the orange a few times. He wore this getup, the jump, like the actual jail, like where, you know, they just pressed it out for him. They just put those letters on for him because like the shirt still had the creases on the side, like where it was folded and like put in a bag or something, you know what I mean? And yeah. And then he had the t-shirt, remember the orange t-shirt, which you could see it hanging out below his jail, like this jail shirt. So he wore that one time in the court too. It was just like a t-shirt, orange t-shirt with orange pants. So I thought he had only worn the orange twice, but I guess he wore it 3 times. I thought he wore it twice. So yeah. This is back when she couldn't straighten the back of her hair, but she caught onto that real quick. I think she probably heard us over here yelling from the bleachers about it. So I saw this article. It came out last month, and I was wondering what it kind of said. So I'll read it with you guys. I was like, what's this saying? So, and then also, before I forget to tell you, there is a hearing coming up on the 18th at 12:30. So it'll be, I think, 12:30 our time. Let me double check now and talk about it. And I will be streaming, of course. So I'll double check, make sure you guys know the time. 6:18 at 12:30, so 2:30 Eastern Standard Time. Motion to continue is going to be open for the public, but the alternate perpetrators is not open to the public. So it's sealed. I don't know if it would have ever been, I don't think it would have ever been open. It wouldn't have been an open hearing. They're not going to come and tell us who the alternate perpetrator is, like, because that person can just like dip, you know what I mean? Like, oh, they're looking at me, see ya, or whatever. So that would have always already been sealed. So we can't like blame like Dateline for that. You know what I mean? So hopefully we will hear though the motion to continue. I think that he's going to come in and he's going to say, we're not continuing this. And if you need to hire some more people, then let's get them hired right now, like interns and stuff for Anne to read through the discovery. She's had 2.5 years. If we had it, we would have went through it. I have faith in us. I have faith in us. We would have went through those few terabytes. 4 terabytes? We would have done it. So it says how Bryan Kohberger get the death penalty off the table before his trial even starts. So let's see. Bushy eyebrows, DNA on a knife sheath, Amazon purchase records. The evidence that Judge Stephen Hippler is allowing prosecutors to admit in the death penalty trial of Bryan Kohberger, which they spelled Brian wrong, is substantial. Defendants in other high-profile death penalty cases have been down Kohberger's road, faced with potentially making a life or death decision before a jury does it for them. take a plea deal if prosecutors will agree and avoid a potential death sentence, or go to trial. I don't think that they are going to give him a plea deal. I don't think they're going to offer him a plea deal. I don't. I think Bill's done. Done, son. After reading that filing last night, he said it's time to go to trial. Period. Yeah. He's done. He's ready to go. I would be too, though, after this long. I mean, it's not like, I mean, it's a death penalty case, so I know that's not really that long, but that it is still a long time. When we were supposed to have a trial date here, a trial date here, a trial date here, you know, if it was like not like that, and they were like, you're not going to see a trial for 3 years, just don't even plan on it, then I would have been like, okay, cool, see you in 3 years. But they kept scheduling it, and that's the problem. Some defendants don't want to take the risk of being sentenced to death, so they plead guilty to murder charges and agree to live the rest of their life in state prison. Others assert their innocence and hope the strength of the defense will show reasonable doubt is on their side, so they go to trial. Prosecutors aren't required to entertain a plea deal to bargain away the death penalty, but often they do. Whether Kohberger is actually considering a plea deal in the killing of 4 University of Idaho students on November 13th, 2022 is unknown. Not guilty pleas have been entered on his behalf. The brutality of the killings of Madison Mogen, Kaylee Gonzalez, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin at an off-campus home in Moscow, Idaho, and the lack of clarity on Kohberger's potential connections to the group of friends have made it one of the highest-profile cases in the U.S. Due to the wide-ranging gag order, prosecutors, defense lawyers, and attorneys for the victims' families and witnesses are prohibited from saying anything publicly aside from what is already in the public record. In Idaho, just last year, Chad Daybell was facing the death penalty, charged with murder and conspiracy to commit murder in the deaths of his first wife and the 2 children of his current wife. The killings took place in small-town communities in Idaho, but the trial was moved to Boise to ensure Daybell's right to a fair and impartial jury. For similar reasons, Kohberger's trial was moved from Moscow to Boise. Daybell decided to proceed to trial. Last May, he was convicted of all murder charges during the guilt phase of the trial. During the penalty phase, the jury found all aggravating factors beyond a reasonable doubt, and he was sentenced to death. Notorious serial killer Gary Ridgway, also known as the Green River Killer, pleaded guilty in Washington state in June 2003 to 48 counts of aggravated murder in exchange for prosecutors not seeking the death penalty. For his part, Ridgway had to provide complete, truthful, and candid information concerning his crimes and had to provide a written statement to the court describing what he did to all 48 victims and why. The prosecutor read the statement in court at sentencing. Scott Peterson, accused of murdering his wife Lacey and their unborn son Connor in Central California in 2003, was offered a plea bargain early in lieu of seeking the death penalty if he would tell them where the victims were. He refused, maintaining his innocence according to local prosecutors at the time, so they filed notice of intent to seek death. Peterson was convicted for the murders in 2004, with the jury recommending death. He was sentenced in 2005 and put on death row in California. His death sentence was overturned in 2020 because of a jury issue. The next year, Peterson was resentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. He is still seeking to get his conviction overturned. Never let him out. Never. Yeah. We don't need him to find them now. We found them. In Florida, Casey Anthony was charged with first-degree murder in the death of her daughter, Kaylee. Indicted in 2008, prosecutors announced in 2009 they would be seeking death. Anthony decided to proceed to trial. During the course of the trial, she was offered a plea to get death off the table. She refused the offer and ultimately was acquitted of all major charges by a unanimous jury. In the Kohberger case, the judge has denied the defense's team 2 motions to strike the death penalty, one on Kohberger's autism spectrum disorder diagnosis and the other on voluminous amount of discovery that defense attorneys say they can't begin to look at because there isn't time. What you all been doing? Just like playing Uno over there? When you visit Kohberger? Like, what do you, seriously, what are we doing here? The trial is in August and the jury selection beginning the end of July. So you're not going to go on any vacations this year, Anne. you might want to tell someone to go ahead and take over your other death penalty case for you for a while. You have Jay Logston sitting around there at the office. He can read some stuff. You're going to have to give some of the jobs to other people to do and just bring you the useful information. Unless your client can bring you something, like tell you where to look for something useful to get them off. I don't think he probably can, though. Check his phone. Maybe he has like one of those cool apps, like stargazing apps. If he does, I mean, maybe you start there. Be like, well, look, he has a stargazing app. I mean, I don't think he has any, though. When prosecutors in June 2023 filed notice of intent to seek the death penalty, they alleged aggravating factors warranting death, which included the fact that there were multiple victims and the killings were heinous, atrocious, and cruel, and that the defendant would be a continuing threat to society. As a result, before the trial itself begins this summer, during jury selection, there will be an added layer to the process. Selected jurors must be death qualified, meaning they are willing to vote for death after convicting Kohberger if they believe beyond a reasonable doubt that aggravating factors exist which warrant the ultimate punishment. For a defendant considering how to proceed in a criminal trial, it is all about reasonable doubt. Reasonable doubt can lead to an out and out acquittal or even mistrial, which can be a gift to the defendant if prosecutors decide to not try the case again. And they would try this case again. Key evidence for prosecutors is the single source DNA found from the knife sheath found on the bed close to Mogan. The single source profile was determined to be male, and the probable identity of the DNA came from investigative genetic genealogy, which is the process of taking unknown DNA to public databases and finding relatives that share that profile. Old-fashioned investigative work follows, looking at age, geographical location, and gender of relatives. That can determine a possible source of the unknown genetic material. In this case, the FBI did the testing along with some investigation early on, and the result accumulated into the tip that led Idaho investigators to a PhD student in criminology at nearby Washington State University named Kohberger. Doing forensic DNA testing from trash outside the Kohberger family home in northeastern Pennsylvania in December 2022 gave Idaho law enforcement the probable cause to arrest Kohberger. A DNA profile obtained from the trash identified a male as not being excluded as the biological father of the suspect, according to the probable cause affidavit. Once the testing was confirmed, Kohberger was arrested in December 2022. According to legal filings, buccal swab DNA testing from Kohberger himself following the arrest proved to be a statistical match to the DNA on the knife sheath. Both sides have agreed they do not want the jury to hear about the genetic genealogy process in this case, but that will only be referred to before the jury as a tip. But the single source DNA identification on the K-bar knife sheath will come into evidence. Legal documents give a preview on how the defense will counter this by questioning when and how the DNA on the sheath was transferred there. DNA found under the nails of one of the victims have been determined to be inconclusive as to the defendant, a plus for the defense. Okay. Inconclusive. So, I mean, they can't say conclusively one way or another, so they're not going to be able to test that DNA and get another hit. You know what I mean? I don't think they would be able to. Maybe. Along with DNA, the judge is also allowing purchase records of the alleged murder weapon. 8 months before the killings, Kohberger purchased on Amazon a knife sheath and sharpener made by the same company as the K-bar sheath found at the crime scene, according to prosecutors' court filings. In a recent hearing, Judge Hippler noted the purchase was made under Kohberger's name, and after the purchase searches were made on the Amazon account to find out where the items were during the shipping and delivery process. Oh, so he was going back to check, your orders, and then you check, see where they're at, when they're going to be there, where they're shipping at. He was really ready for that K-bar. I mean, Amazon has like 1 day, 2 day shipping. So after the homicides on the same Amazon account, the purchaser, Kohberger, looked at knives again, according to documents and oral arguments during a recent pretrial hearing. While the defense argued to keep his Amazon click activity out of the trial because the account is a family account, the judge responded by saying the purchase was under Kohberger's particular name on the account and the evidence would come in. Hippler is allowing the account's click activity pertaining to knives and knife history or knife accessories the payment method used, and details of items in the cart, including all items added to the cart and removed from the cart or wish listed in the shopping bag. The defense can cross-examine using an expert on the Amazon activity and purchases. That's going to be a boring time. Like, seriously, he's going to tell us what? Somebody else can click on it for him? No one else was using his account. No one was doing that but him. And if it was Michael Kohberger, right? Or Mary Ann buying the knife and the sheath and the sharpener, then where is it? Where's it at? That's that same one, because they're going to look at serial numbers on that sharpener. So I'm just saying, better have a real good reason if you don't have those items. You know what I mean? That'd be easy. Where's the stuff? If I was Kohberger, this would be my time to shine, because I'd be like, I know exactly where that knife sheath is and knife sharpener is because I bought it. And I'll be like, and it's at my house in Pennsylvania, and this is where it's at, or wherever it would be. But yeah, if you can't give us an answer, I don't know. I'm trying to see where we were. Okay. Another critical piece of evidence involves the identity of the attacker who prosecutors allege is Kohberger. One of the two surviving roommates in that home in the early morning hours of November 13th, 2022, stepped out of her bedroom at that time and, according to the probable cause affidavit, saw a figure clad in black clothing and a mask that covered the person's mouth and nose walking towards her. The surviving roommate, identified as DM, described the figure as 5 foot 10 inches or taller, male, not very muscular, but athletically built with bushy eyebrows, according to the affidavit. The defense at a recent hearing fought hard to keep that description out, especially bushy eyebrows, because they argued the roommate did not originally give that information to law enforcement. It didn't come out until the second interview with police, and one of the detectives asked her about the man's eyebrows. DM did not independently bring it up. The judge disagreed, allowing the witness to testify about it. According to prosecutors, later on that morning at 10:30 a.m., Kohberger took a close-up picture of himself in his bathroom. So we know where it's at. The jurors will be allowed to consider this photo and assess his eyebrows themselves. Well, maybe they could take a little visit to his apartment. Since everyone wants a jury view, I mean, I don't know. Take one to his bathroom. The judge has determined that an alibi instruction to the jury will not be given at the end of trial unless the defendant can bring to court some substantial evidence of an actual alibi. The judge has determined. Oh, okay. So I'm going to read that again. The judge has determined that an alibi instruction to the jury will not be given at the end of trial. So if that, were able to be used as a defense, they would get that, but they're not going to get that if he doesn't have some more substantial evidence of an actual alibi. Carving out an alibi has been difficult for the Kohberger defense because they have consistently maintained their client was out driving alone during the early morning hours of November 13th, 2022. The defense has offered an expert witness who will testify using location data from phone records to show approximately where the defendant was driving during some of those hours. Hippler responded asking what witnesses are you going to say, or what witnesses were going to say he's driving around looking at the stars. The judge insisted to the defense, you have to have someone testify to that. The judge determined the defense expert will be able to show that Kohberger was at a certain place until 2:50 a.m. That is when his phone was turned off a little more than an hour before the killings took place. The only other way for information to come in after the 2:50 a.m. phone shut off would be for Kohberger himself to take the stand. Under Idaho law, before trial, a defendant must provide not only the specific place they were during the time the crimes were being committed, but also names and addresses of those who saw the defendant at the alternate location. He ain't got nobody. Lead defense attorney Ann Taylor said at the hearing in April, they were planning to call an expert witness who will say it's likely two people committed the crime with two weapons. That's not the question they were asking, Ann. Taylor didn't expand on the theory, but later said she's also chasing a lead on the alternate suspect. And I know why she's going to say that. Because in the report, their wounds were listed differently. Like, Xana and Ethan had different wounds than Kaylee and Maddie. But Xana and Ethan had different wounds from each other. So Xana had her own wounds. I could pull up the Canvas sheet, but Ethan had his own wound. And then Kaylee and Maddie, their wounds were both like made by sharp forced injuries or something like that. Like that was the wording of it. Actually, I got this right here. Okay, so Kernodle's deceased with wounds which appeared to have been caused by an edged weapon. Just hear me out, because this is what I think she's going to try to use. Edged weapon. Ethan deceased with wounds that were sharp forced injuries. Okay, so sharp forced injuries, and then we've got an edged weapon. And then for Maddie and Kaylee, they're the same. They read the same. Of course, I can't find theirs. I want to say it was like sharp forced injuries. What was the other ones? Edged weapon. That's sharp forced injuries for Ethan. About to look it up. Yeah, I can't find it like right off the top of my head. But their wounds were the same though. So like Maddie and Kaylee's wounds were the same. I'm trying to see if I can find it, but oh wait, here it is. Okay, visible stab wounds. Okay, so Gonzalez and Mogan were deceased with visible stab wounds, and then they have Ethan down as sharp forced injuries, and then they have Xana down as wounds which appear to have been caused by an edged weapon. So I mean, I can see her spinning that. Do you know what I mean? Like I don't know. I can see her spinning that and being like, well, look, their wounds are all not even like, they're not written down like the same, you know? We've heard her try to do worse. Like, you know what I mean? Go with worse. So we'll see. But it says this lead was buried in thousands of tips collected by law enforcement that Taylor said she is still combing through. We came across a tip, just a tip. Okay. That would appear to be an alternate suspect, and we're trying to work through that as rapidly as we can. Well, tell us a little about it. It was quite a surprise to come up with that. You surprised yourself? There's got to be more in there that I need to know. Oh my goodness. Then take a day and go through it. Like if you have certain like phone tips or whatever, or tips around this certain subject, like, yeah, go through them. Take a couple days to do that. No one can accurately, Hippler said, Kohberger's legal team has previously said it plans to present evidence of an alternate perpetrators ahead of trial. Well, the 16th, or the 18th, I'm sorry. We'll be waiting. Hippler said there will be a May deadline for the defense to present that evidence. Oh, well, it's June 11th. I mean, so, okay. It says, waiting for it to come up at trial would be too late. At this time, nothing has been filed by the defense in the court's docket. No one can accurately predict what will happen at trial. Yeah, I wonder what they're going to do. Just like not even talk about that anymore. Jurors are selected based on their word and that they can be fair and impartial in looking at the evidence. But the emotion within those four walls of that Boise courtroom coming from the reality that 4 young lives were taken right as they were beginning their adulthood may be as strong as force as the evidence heard. Kohberger, however, has a presumption of innocence under the Constitution, and reasonable doubt also can be strong force in the mind of a juror as they deliberate. As Taylor said to the court during the change of venue hearing last year, Kohberger is innocent, Your Honor, but it's the country that has decided he is guilty. Yeah, but we didn't do that without evidence. Sitting silent, I'm sorry. That just gets me every time. I'm gonna get a shirt that says sitting silent. Oh yeah, I want to go. So I was gonna see if the Bryan Girl subreddit, if that ever came back. Because someone was actually asking me about it in another chat, and I was like, no, I said, them girls got kicked off. Yeah, they still off. They gone. Man, I was stuck in that subreddit. I was in that subreddit too. Like, yeah, no more. So if you don't know, Bryan Kohberger had a fan club, and they made a subreddit, or like they made a Reddit group subreddit called Bryan's Girls, spelled like his name, Bryan, Bryans, Bryan's Girls. And somehow they let me in their group, right? Well, then they kicked me out like within like a second. And I was so sad. I was like, man, I didn't get the juicy gossip. I wanted to see what they were putting in there, right? Because it's like a private group. And so then the group ended up getting dismantled because like the LE did it. Like law enforcement went in and took the subreddit down. So then they came back with Bryan's Girls 2.0, but they spelled Bryan with an I because they thought that no one would figure that out. I don't know. Well, I changed my name, and I went back in there and they let me back in. I was like, and we're back. And we went over it. But I think it was a young girl in there doing those things, like writing like with the hearts around Bryan's pictures and stuff, because she seemed very young. If not, then maybe there's something wrong with her, you know. Like, not saying that like to be mean to her, but you know. Is Ashley back? I didn't see her. Maybe DM said something. Oh yeah, they're having a couple. They're gonna have one in camera and review in his chambers. They're all gonna hang out in there, not with us. Ashley does need a little service dog. We actually have them here. They train them. They're called Four Paws, and they're known like everywhere. But they're like the little red coat dogs. You know, with like the little red thing on like those dogs that have like the red little outfit. And they are so smart. Like, you shouldn't pet them and touch them. And it's so hard for me not to. I learned that the hard way. I'm like, let me touch your dog. I'm one of those people. But they ended up, when COVID was going on, like when COVID happened and we were all masked up, you know, and nobody was open really. Like, they were just starting to open places back up. The mall was open. And one night I was leaving work, and my friend from the other store, her store was all glass. So she calls me and she's like, Tanya, she's like, you're going to freak out when you walk out of your store tonight. She's like, you are going to freak out. You're going to love it. You're going to be so happy. And I'm like, huh? I was like, okay. So I walked out of the store, and every single store in that mall had a dog standing beside it. And I'm like, what is this? And then you look up, like, because we were on the first floor, you look up to like the second floor and you could see like all these dogs. So what they did was the mall let Four Paws, like this group, let their dogs come in to train, because they couldn't go into like other places like they were used to doing. Like, they were used to going into like, you know, different eateries or, you know, just wherever. Like, they were only able to go to mall, Target, and like Walmart or something, you know, and like, all those dogs can't go to one place. So that's what they were doing. I thought it was so cool when I walked out and saw all those dogs. I wanted to cry because I was like, look at all these dogs. I wanted to touch them all. grad paper, Papa Roger. Could be, Jack. Yeah. I thought about going over that paper again. I think we will. I have like I have the podcast written down because I got screwed up earlier. So we're good now, but I switched everything around where it's good. But I didn't notice that like season 1 had more episodes. It didn't look like it. And then I was like, oh crap, we missed a couple. But we had only been on episode 1 of like the second season. So we're good. So tomorrow or the next day, we'll do the next episode, which is building a defense. And then I'll have like some other stuff. I want to do a live over like where are Dylan and Bethany now? Like as we're watching the podcast, I have what else do I have? I don't know what this stuff is. Oh, I have the stuff from last night. Like I wanted to, I'm trying to look for I'm looking for the video. I went through all the videos that I could find today of them taking the stuff out of the apartment. When the officers were taking the girls' stuff out of the apartment to give, to the families, back to their families, whatever they could take out. There is a clip somewhere. It's not Crim 2. I thought it was Crim 2. I've been looking everywhere for it. But one of them walk out with the white table. It's a white side table. And I just need that clip. I can't find it anywhere. So if anyone like happens to see it in their algorithm tonight or something, and you're like, hey, just let me know. Let me know. Also, what else do I have? Oh, I found the this letter that this crazy woman wrote saying like of the injuries, and she was like all pretty much wrong. But I do want to go over that because I want to be like, no, let's just see what's not right about this. Because, yeah, there was a lot of crazy people in this case. Where are they now? That's what we need to do, one of those, like, where are these people now? Because, I mean, they are seriously around still, probably. Let's see. Wanted to see if there was something else before I let you guys go. What was, oh, wait, I guess this is how you spell it. No, this is the... Okay. I was just looking at some that it made me laugh. Okay. There was another filing that came out tonight. It wasn't nothing though. It was motion to seal defendant's motion and order for independent analysis of evidence. I don't know what they want to independently and analyze, I guess you would say, but what I mean, that should have been done. What's new, right? Like, is this something that you should have analyzed like forever ago? I mean, I don't know. It just says, because the motion and order contained information regarding pieces of evidence and private information of the defense expert. Curious. What do you think they want to test again? Or test over? Or test to begin with? Like, they already know that the blood or the biologicals or whatever it is under Maddie's fingernails, whatever they ended up getting off of her, if it was skin cells or whatever, it was inconclusive for Bryan, right? So the only other thing would be if they wanted to test the banister, which I'm assuming, I'm just assuming that Hunter did that on accident when he was running down the stairs. He grabbed onto the banister and he maybe bent down to check Xana's pulse and maybe got blood on his hand that way. So Nightbot. Nightbot gets on you guys if you aren't on topic. I actually put that in Nightbot a long time ago, so that's really me. But no, you're fine. Whatever you guys are talking about. Someone said sorry to Nightbot last night too. Oh no, I don't have a dog that has seizures. I would be so sad, Squeaky, if I did. Stun gun. I mean, if Ethan's standing, I don't know if a stun gun, I mean, it would take him down. But like, not if he's fighting, I feel like. He's just such a big, he was such a big boy. You know what I mean? Like, I wonder how hard a stun gun is compared to like, I think he was in the bed asleep. I think he just snuck up on him. So, see, yeah, I think it is. But yeah, I don't know. I think Ethan was caught off guard too. The glove could be, yeah. But we've had that glove since November 20th of 2022. I mean, I know that he wasn't arrested till December, so we'll give him that. So January. She's been able to, you know, like test that glove for 2.5 years now. Yeah, I think he was sleeping. I think he just probably fell asleep, or he was like half asleep. He might not have ate with her, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. No, I didn't know. I was on another page. You guys all told me that Ashley had a seizure. I'm like, what happened to Ashley? I text her though. Because DM said she was on the phone with her. That's why I just texted her. Yeah. That's true. Levitating elephant. Yeah. And like they had no worry to think that someone would come into their home. Right? Like, and that could be a reason why, you know, maybe Xana did have that new lock put on her door that her father put on, right? But if she's just walking out in the middle of the night to put food on the counter and walk back to her bedroom with her where her boyfriend is, I doubt she's going to lock the door. Do you know what I mean? And take her key and walk down to the end of the hallway. Like that is just, you know, that's not reasonable. I would just be like, the door's, you know, unlocked. But I do believe she got a lock. I think she got the lock because she wanted her and Ethan to have more privacy. She didn't want people just walking in the room whenever they wanted to. They were college kids. They were in love. They wanted some alone time, you know? Who's going to hate them for that? Surely not this gal. Me too, Trips. Yeah, if Ethan wasn't sleeping, I think that Bryan would have been caught a lot sooner, like that night. Yeah, it's so sad. Them kids didn't have a chance, you know? Yeah, because of all the parties. I think they just wanted to kind of be by themselves sometimes, you know? Yeah, Ethan was a big boy. He was a big boy. Yeah, he wasn't small by any means. Like he was tall and he was like bigger than Bryan. Bryan has, I feel like, broad shoulders, but he's skinny. Like he has that triangle effect. If you know what I mean, like where the shoulders come out broad, but then the waist goes in back skinny kind of. The door was open because you could see Xana from the hallway in the living room. You could see Xana's, her head was towards the wall and her feet were towards the door. That door was open. The front door was open. The neighbor told different news journalists that there's 2 different ones here. They told Fox News, it looks like, in New York Post. I just have them pinned up here for like ever about them. Yeah. I think that he did the carving because he saw another man in the house. or something. I don't know. I don't know what to think of that. Like, what did he carve? And was it just more like gashes? Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like, just instead of stab, like, you know what I mean? Instead of like just holes, was it more of like rips and they were in his calf and that's why they're calling it carving? Or was it actually like carved, like something in there? Like, and why would you want to do that to someone's legs? Especially, I mean, this is weird, but especially somebody that's like vegan, right? I mean, that's like the meatiest, that's a meaty spot on your body. You would think that would gross him out. I don't know why he took that extra step and did that. You know what I mean? I'll be waiting to trial to hear that. I mean, because I'll believe Dateline when they say that, you know, that's what happened, but it's just weird. It's like why would he do that? And then he sits down. Oh, man, he must have just thought he had all the time in the damn world or something. Did he not know if there was a second floor? Or, I mean, a first floor? Maybe he didn't know about that first floor. Maybe he just thought it was the second floor and he came in through the back slider. Yeah. And now, baby girl, that would make sense if he was closer to her bedroom because Dylan said it sounded like it was coming from the bathroom. Right? And I did find all of those pictures. We'll go over those tomorrow. That's what we'll do. There's pictures and there's video. I didn't know there was videos. I'm like, oh, cool. We can watch these. But it's from all of the King Road, like inside the King Road house and surrounding the King Road house. Like it's at Sigma Chi. And, but a lot of the pictures of like Dylan, Bethany, Xana, Ethan, Maddie, you know, all of them, and they're friends. But I think there's like 300 pictures or more. So we can go through those and videos and stuff. And they start from the day that the homicide's on. So yeah. Yeah. See, I thought maybe at first, before I realized he was even in the bed, I was like, did he cut his Achilles tendons? This was before the carving and stuff came out. I was like, but how would he be able to get down to his legs? Like that part I couldn't get in my head. You know what I mean? Like Ethan's going to stand there and let him do that. But if he's in the bed sleeping, but the wound that Ethan did sustain, they said was like something that he hit like or I think it was like an arterial vein or whatever it is, arterial vein, where it would incapacitate you within seconds. Like you'd be passed out. You wouldn't feel anything after that. And you would die within like minutes. So if they have to go out of the way, I mean, that's the way I would hope it was quick and you know, but we don't know for sure. So they do have a hearing on the 18th, and I'll be back tomorrow with more stuff on the podcast. And if there's any documents that come out, we'll definitely go over those as well. And did you guys know that Brian Wilson, the Beach Boys innovator guy, he died? He was 82. The Beach Boys, yeah, how about that, you know? Really rock and roll right there, rock and roll. I think they wanted to be rock and roll, but they were, I guess, in a way, you know? They were a different kind of rock and roll. Oh, I don't know. I don't know, Squeaky. Oh, thanks, Jenna. Could have been his carotid artery. Yeah. Thanks for gifting out a membership. Who got it? Denise did. Well, thank you for being here. Oh, really? Yeah, Ladybug. I like the old bands. My dad listened to old music. You know what I mean? Because, like, well, obviously, because he was older, but like, I don't know. I just like it. I like older music. See, I think so too, Betsy. You're welcome, Ishi. Yeah, see, I don't know. See, I don't. He would have the time to do it if he wanted to. I mean, I think it was like 2 minutes with each victim, right? No, that'd be more than that. It'd be like more like 4 minutes or something. Now, I wonder if he took classes, or not classes, but like YouTube where the spray would come out. Like, you know what I mean? I know that's gross, but like, and he could stand a certain way. I don't know if he was that like able to do all of that. You know what I mean? Because you're thinking like you're on a live with 4 people. That's chaos, right? So, yeah, man. Well, we'll be here to watch the trial, and it's going to happen. I'm telling you guys, if they say continuance at this next court hearing, I would be really surprised. And you know me, I'm usually like one for in favor, like going in favor of Anne, because it seems like everyone goes in favor of Anne. So usually if she says like she wants something, she gets it. I don't see her getting this one. I just don't. I mean, and if they give it to her, I'll be falling out of this chair. So it'll be worth the watch, you know? It'll be worth the watch. But thanks for being here tonight. I appreciate it. And I will see you guys all tomorrow. And I hope you guys have a great, what is it tomorrow? Thursday? A great Thursday if I don't see you. But hopefully you have a great Thursday either way. If I do see you, if I don't see you. It's supposed to be pretty nice here, I think, again tomorrow. So maybe I'll be outside. You never know. But thank you for being here. I'll be on tomorrow. And I appreciate you guys so much. And I'll see you guys later. Bye, guys.
Just like the street lights lit this town, like a fire in a blaze, gotta burn it down. Can't be afraid to leave this out. We got this far, don't know how.